But if they don't, then I mean, what's the point? I mean, I can get them for pretty cheap, and it's important to have depth. So both Winnick and Booth, I think, can work on the third and fourth line. But that leaves us a hole. That left wing on that second line, that's a void we're gonna have to fill here. So moving right along to the right, this is a complete disaster. I mean, this is where the Leafs are just, I mean, the whole thing. It's not just one guy and one guy's contract. It's, I mean, Panic. Okay, I don't mind playing him on the third or fourth line. You got Clarkson. He's probably a perennial third line guy. And look at, I mean, 5 1/4 for, oh my God, I mean, 6 years. That has got to go. Like, I'm sorry. David Clarkson, you were a stud when you were in Jersey. You deserved to get paid. But by the time his contract's up, he's going to be 36 years old. He's already in 83. And that's 5 1/4. I mean, there's a lot you can do with 5 1/4 in the NHL, especially when it comes to third line players. I mean, I could probably get a second and third line right wing for that cost. So, yes, of all the people, I mean, it's going to be hard to get rid of him. I'm probably going to eat some of his cap, but Clarkson's gone. And then you got Kessel. And, you know, Kessel, I don't want to make a big deal about this because Kessel's like, he's been getting a lot of crap. He's been getting a lot of shit in the newspapers, and, you know, reporters have been coming down on him, and, you know, teams have been coming down on him. There's been a lot of trade rumors floating around. You know, they're treating this guy like Evander Kane. It's like, I have a really hard time because Kessel is a phenomenal talent. You know, Boston fleeced the Leafs to you know, trade him. You know, they got a lot of players that the Leafs could use today, and the Leafs are you know, paying Kessel $8 million for the next whatever. I mean, a long time, and yeah, he's a talent, but you can't win with one guy. I mean, that is the truth in any league, in any sport. I mean, Phil Kessel is an elite talent, but they gave away a lot of prospects, potential elite players to get one guy, and those, you know, finally stopped paying picks. I mean, for the first year, and last year I think was the first year they weren't giving picks. You know, they did not have a traded pick to Boston. So it's a good year to get into it. This is a good year to rebuild because you have picks to do it. I mean, it's very hard to rebuild because you're not going to get out of Kessel what you paid for him originally, which means that you know, you get what you can get for him. And now that you got a full assortment of picks, you just got to make good decisions now, and that means not trading away high draft picks for the next couple of years. So, Kessel, he's gone. He's got to be gone. It's like Clarkson. It's not just about the cap hit. It's about value. It's what you're getting. $8 million for a guy like Kessel on Chicago would be a great value when you've got secondary scorers like Sharp and Hossa, and you've got talent like Taves and the defensemen they have. But on a team like Toronto, $8 million for anybody right now. This is about value. This is about, he is worth something. His trade value, I'm sure, is the highest of anybody on the team, which means I can get 2 or 3 really talented players. I can probably get a top line right winger. I can probably get that second left winger. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a second right winger too. That's the problem. Right now I'm looking at a lot of holes, but Kessel's a guy who can fill some of those holes. So he's on the block. Clarkson's on the block, and that leaves Panic, who is a third or fourth line guy. That means I got one right wing right now on the team if I trade these two away. So right wing is a dire need, and I'm sure that for the Leafs, it's a dire need for them as well. So moving on, defenseman, Phaneuf. This is another guy whose name's been getting floated. 2021. I mean, that is a long time to have somebody sign. And that's 5 years. And $7 million is a big number. And the number that really matters is the 29 years old. I mean, he's the best defenseman they have. He's a quality defenseman. He's a good defenseman. He logs a lot of minutes a night. But you got to move him. I mean, it's one of those situations where it's like, if his trade value is high enough, because of this number here, this $7 million, you have to consider him a possible trade candidate. Gardner, I don't like this number, but he's 24. It's $4 million. He can play on. I'm thinking probably second D pairing. That's probably where I'd like to have him. What I care about, and I probably shouldn't, is the shooting. The handedness of the player. So it's important to me to have a righty and a lefty. I mean, I guess I'm like Detroit in that sense. Like, I like having left guys on the left and right guys on the right. And I think that the way that the assistant coach alters the lines, I think they do the same thing, where they try to put lefties on the left and righties on the right. So Gardner, $4 million. He's young. I can deal with that. I'm going to live with that. You got to spend money to do well. I'm not going to be a complete cheapskate. Franson, on the other hand, just got traded. Again, unfortunately I have not, made the updates or anything with the roster. But that's cool because I'm trading him anyway. Maybe I'll try to trade him to Nashville just to, play the game or whatever. Another guy, Robidas, saw him in Dallas, saw him in Anaheim. He's a quality guy. But 37 years old. You don't keep 37-year-olds during rebuilds. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sure his trade value is terrible, but he's a guy that is 37 years old, which means by the time we're in contention, he's probably going to be retired. And $3 million I can do something with. So I'm going to try to move him, even if it's just for a third rounder or something, just to dump that salary. Roman Polak. I like Roman Polak. I think he has some potential. He's a righty. I think he's either a second or third pairing on the right-hand side. So 2.75, he's 28. Let's roll with it. Morgan Riley, this guy is going to be a huge part of our rebuild. An offensive guy, a lefty. He's probably going to be playing this year on our third line. But in a year or two, once, he's 20. So his number is going to bump. I haven't played through multiple seasons on NHL 15 yet. I'll be completely honest. Full disclosure, I just got this game a couple weeks ago. I have not had a chance to really go through a season or anything to see how the player progression goes. But I played the shit out of 14 and 13 and 12 and past NHL games. And 20-year-old guys like Morgan Riley that are projected to be elite players are at least going to be second D pairing guys. I mean, he's 79 right now, but in a year or two he will either be a 2D or a top D guy on the left-hand side. So and then that's good because Gardner can stay in the second spot. He can move up to the first, or Gardner can move up to the first if he blows up. Either way, Riley's sticking around. Granberg, he's going back down to the AHL. I don't even know why they have him. And Holzer, I like how they have one of the things I've noticed in the new NHL is they have the 7th D. Like, it used to be just depth D, but now it's 7th D. So it's like, yeah, okay, dude, you are getting scratched healthily every night. You're going to be a healthy scratch, and if somebody gets hurt, you're coming in. So cool, that's your role, and I'm going to keep paying you $1 million. And if you want more, take a hike. I'll get another 7th D. I love that designation. It's like bench warmer until injury occurs. So this is another big problem for the Leafs. I mean, this is a big problem for a lot of teams. I mean, a lot of really good teams, they're in much better shape than the Leafs, have similar issues, which is they don't have elite defensemen. I mean, they've got good defensemen, but they don't have that Drew Doughty, PK Subban. I think you can probably throw Victor Hedman. You can throw Duncan Keith. You can throw, a lot of these teams. You need to have that guy. I mean, you look at cup-winning teams, guys like Chara, guys like Doughty. I would even say Seabrook, even though, he gets overshadowed by Keith. You got to have top defensemen to protect your goalies, to move the puck, to create scoring opportunities. So, one of the goals I think we should do, Morgan Rielly is going to be a guy. I don't know how good of a guy. I mean, it's listed as a medium potential. But he is going to be a very important cog in this rebuilding machine. So, Morgan Rielly could be an elite defenseman. I think he probably will be. He'll be getting paid like one, I'm sure, in 2 years when he's an RFA. But I fully expect him to be playing on top line, which means a big priority for this whole project is going to be getting a right defenseman. And that is, if you had to prioritize things that we need to get out of these trades or things that we need to get through the draft at the end of the season, a right defenseman is probably top one or top two. Right-handed guys in general. I mean, right wings, right defensemen, but I don't know. I can't even prioritize. I mean, it's like a 1A, 1B situation. Like, we need a top right winger if we're trading Kessel, and we need a top right defenseman regardless, because even if I don't trade Phaneuf, he's a lefty, first of all, and I've already got Gardner and Rielly, so he's going to be playing on that top left D this year, and then he's going to be a waste because I don't really want to be playing him on the right. I mean, I can, but even still, I don't want to. There's just not enough top-end guys on this team, which brings me to goalies, which is hilarious because the one area that they're, at least in NHL 15 standards, stacked at is goalie. I mean, an 86 and 85 goalie, both NHL starters, both medium potential, both 26 years old, both under $3 million contracts. Goalie is a little bit of a surplus for them, and for that reason, I don't know how NHL 15 sims like the backup goalies, and I don't know. I know they rotate them in and out. There's a way you can turn that off. I have no idea. Like, feel free to let me know, because I don't know enough about it, and I'm sure I could look it up in 5 minutes, but I'm just too lazy. Yeah, I don't know what the story is with the backup goalie. If you play your starting goalie the entire season, if you leave the auto rotate on, how often do they rotate? Is it just back-to-backs, or is it like a 50-50 split? I don't know, because I usually turn it off and I usually play games, so I'm not too familiar how this is going to affect the sim. Regardless, these guys are gone. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I might keep one. I might keep Bernier, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't see any reason why both these guys stay on the team. I know it's important in the real NHL to have a solid backup because of injuries. I know it's important in the real NHL. I know the Leafs have been served extremely well by having both Bernier and Reimer. But this is NHL 15. This is rebuild mode. And in previous games, guys that are UFAs after 1 year who are 86 overalls and 26 years old, people in this situation are looking for $5 million a year. They're looking for Bobrovsky money. They're looking for Lenton money. They're looking for Rask money. This is not a situation I want to be in next year. And because he's a UFA and an RFA, I get nothing if he walks. And I am not interested. I mean, I might pay my starting goalie. I mean, this is a big pet peeve of mine, and that's overpaying any position. But goalie in particular, I would love to be able to lock a young kid in like a Subban. Like, I would love to be able to make that trade with Boston. It's never going to happen. I've been able to pull it off in years past by giving up